To start again, thank you all coming here 2 years on. We're still having to come out and protest our rights. Not as many here today. A lot of people obviously think we're out of trouble, but you know, they'll learn the hard way. I want to thank. Look, I have a great team of people behind me. It's not just me that does this. There's a lot of us, and I want to thank them as well. Yeah, I'm just going. I'm going to pass it on to Willie here, and then we'll get the speakers out. All right.
Hello everybody! Are we on the road to freedom now or what? The road to freedom got a wee bit rough and rocky in the past 2 years, but thanks to our friends over in Canada, right now, I think we are back right on the road to freedom. And I've got a wee song all about it. I read it a few years ago, but I re-recorded it this week with some band members because of what was happening in Canada. Now, I couldn't get all the band up on stage here today, but I'm going to sing it anyway. And I've got a recording of what we did a couple of days ago, and hopefully it will come through these speakers. And the only catch is you have to sing along on the chorus. Loud and clear. If the technology, here we go.
Where some folks wave and some folks wail. They take the long winding lane to feel the wrath and feel the pain. All roads to freedom are not the same. You might cross sorrow, you might catch flame. Once you make it round the final bend, it's all the same freedom. And the end, we're on the road, we're on the road, we're on the road to freedom now. So join us on the road, join us on the road to freedom now. Fox that roams at night across the fields of the open line. She loves to follow freedom's way. Down her own freedom road she loves to stray. She knows that road with danger is fraught. She knows by dawn she might get shot. She never makes it round the final bend. It's still the same freedom. And the end, we're on the road, we're on the road, we're on the road to freedom now. So join us on the road, join us on the road to freedom now. The road goes up the highest hill to view the world and feel the thrill. Then out across the seven seas to feel the world and the breeze. The first gets down the darkest lane. When you're out of there, you won't know when. But once you make it round the final bend, you will feel freedom and the end. We're on the road, we're on the road, we're on the road to freedom now. So join us on the road, join us on the road to freedom now. We're on the road, we're on the road, we're on the road to freedom now. So join us on the road, join us on the road to freedom now. We're on the road, we're on the road, we're on the road to freedom now. So join us on the road, join us on the road to freedom now. We're on the road, we're on the road, we're on the road to freedom now. So join us on the road, join us on the road to freedom now. We're on the road, we're on the road, we're on the road to freedom now. So join us on the road, join us on the road to freedom now. How do you do?
Take two. We've got Candace Main here is going to get up and sing 2 songs, and then we'll get straight into the speeches. We've got one from David Icke as well. It's pre-recorded specifically for Northern Ireland with Leona here as well. So we'll get these guys up, we'll get the mood lifted, and we'll move on with the speech. Is that fair enough?
Hello, Belfast. Appropriately, I'm from Canada, so I'm gonna sing you a little song I wrote years ago, and it was a protest song. So it's called "Shadow of a Dream." Everything's real enough for me. Watching people facing up to living every day. It's just a dream of mine that we can all be free. Everybody's gotta have a dream. Rainbows falling down is such a shame. Ain't nobody to stand up, take the blame. Pieces of art been scattered wide. Seems everybody's on the other side. See the sun shining, can't you feel the rain falling? Can't you hear the wind calling? Ain't nothing like it seems. See how time's passing, can't you feel the fire burning? Can't you feel the world turning? Strung out in the shadow of a dream. Trying to catch a flame to see the light. Even shining skies can't seem to make it right. Following a band or just the way 'cause everybody's lost again today. But you can't let it break you down or shatter you. Finding out the meaning or the truth, ain't nothing left to make up but your mind. When everybody's running out of time, see the sun shining, can't you feel the rain falling? Can't you hear the wind calling? Ain't nothing like it seems. See how time's passing, can't you feel the fire burning? Can't you feel the world turning? Strung out in the shadow of a dream. See the sun shining, can't you feel the rain falling? Can't you hear the wind calling? Ain't nothing like it seems. See how time's passing, can't you feel the fire burning? Can't you feel the world turning? Strung out in the shadow of a dream. Strung out in the shadow of a dream. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's me. Ian's gonna sing his song now.
Folks, it's a great privilege to be here in Belfast, the world's first smart city. I tell you where all the smart people in Belfast are today. Can you guess? I like to sing a song about one of the smartest men in Northern Ireland today. You all know and love him. Your friend and mine, Mr. Robin Swan. Oh, come on, that's not fair. No. A lion among men. The Ballad of Robin Swan. I'll sing you a song about Robin Swan and all of the great things he's done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for my next song. This is an old song I wrote. I don't know what I was thinking of at the time, but I think it's probably more relevant now than it was when I originally wrote it. It's a rock and roll song. What happened to the Habsburgs? I guess I'll never know. I read about a lot of stuff that happened long ago. It sounded just like guesswork, but so it struck me so. What happened to the Habsburgs? Who cares? Let's rock and roll. I don't know how much hope for the next century or so. You can blame the banks, the tanks, the cranks, blame it on the UFOs. The futurists use guesswork, but so it strikes me so. Hold out much hope for, not much but rock and roll. Well, leave your shackle at the back door, with your bent to Roswell hat. Give your aura back to Laura Man, you won't be needing that. Leave a new age in the Stone Age, well let's face it, it belongs. Tonight I'm trading guesswork in the rock and rollin' songs. It's the wettest year since Noah, the coldest in a million years. You could call it paranoia, man, they're playing with our fears. There is no doubt we're headed for drought, gonna burn up just like coal. And all you got is guesswork, thank God for rock and roll. What happened to the iceberg? thank you, and apologies to Mr. Neil Young for borrowing the song there, and I hope to see you all on the convoy next week. Cheers, Belfast! Bye-bye! Freedom!
Wasn't that brilliant? We discovered them in our stand in the park in Lisburn. So we want all the credit. My name is Paul and I'm not a public speaker. So you'll have to bear with me here. You all know we're still in a war, yeah? The diehards. Just checking. Okay, this is just an update on the groups. The groups are so important. If you're not on a group, you have to find the groups. You have to. And if you can't find a group, start a group. Okay, we now know about groups in both Katy and Armagh who are already holding evening meetings. So they're already holding evening meetings with guest speakers. Let's see, Enniskillen are starting up again next Sunday with their stand in the park, and that's in Round O. Anybody here from Enniskillen? Okay, let's see, the Lisburn stand in the park is growing. That's where Ian and these came from. And we'll be holding evening meetings very soon. The Lurgan stand in the park has had a great response. And we've seen many new faces coming to the Portadown evening meetings from the Lurgan stand. Bangor have a new stand in the park at Ward Park. Good. And we can announce a new stand in the park in Ballyclare. Anybody here from Ballyclare? There's a few here. So the stand in the park will be at 6 Mile Park, the entrance of Main Street, Sunday mornings obviously at 10 o'clock. My next town to start a stand in the park in is Banbridge. Anybody here from Banbridge? A few there. I'll be in Solitude Park, entrance with a big flask tomorrow morning at 10 AM if anybody wants to join me. I'll bring a few cups. I know some groups are working in the private, but there are ways for us to network and promote your group with discretion. Because I know we're on a public stage here, I don't want to say too much about them. We are hoping to start a group in every town in the north. So hopefully we will be able to come back up here and update you. We all need to work together. We cannot be dependent on broken systems for our basic needs. So we need to bond and network in small groups to build our communities. So find the groups. Some of the information being exposed at the group meetings is absolutely mind-blowing. You really need to hear. I'd like to share with you some very appropriate words written by Rosanna Debbie. And if I don't read this out, my wife's gonna go nuts. The more they lock down, the more my heart opens. Can't believe I'm standing in the middle of Belfast telling a poem. The more they say you cannot, the more I say I am and I will. The more fear they bring, the more I will trust. The more they say trust us, the more I will trust my intuition and the divine. The darker they try to make it, the brighter my light shines. The more they try to divide, the more I will stay connected. The more rules they impose, the more sovereign I will be. The more they try to tame me, the wilder I get. The more they threaten, the fiercer my roar. The more they say bow to me, the stronger I stand. I bow only to love. So each and every one of you, let your light shine brightly and stay connected. Join us and be the revolution. Find the groups. Thank you for listening.
We've got Fiona Rose here over from England, guys. Just give her a big cheer. Jet lagged.
Hi guys, hi Belfast! So actually, first of all, I've got a message for you all, for you guys from David Icke, okay?
Hello Belfast, and to everyone in Northern Ireland with a mind of their own, congratulations on this event today. It's been an extraordinary 2 years in which what we thought were free countries have descended so fast into fascism, and it's testament to the human spirit that in the British Isles so far we have seen the pushback have effect. But of course, we are only one fake variant. We're all gonna die from the whole thing being brought back. And we must remain vigilant and draw a line now that says this is never going to happen again. There is still much to do with rolling back the vaccine impositions on people in the health service and other restrictions that have yet to be deleted. And we must push on with that. But also remembering that this is a global agenda instigated and orchestrated by a global network that I call the global cult. This network, this web of secret societies with an interlocking leadership has created subsidiaries of itself in every country. That will be absolutely the case in Northern Ireland. And these subsidiaries then seek to enforce the global agenda upon their populations. Again, it is testament to what we have done in Britain, that we are leading the world currently in rolling these abominations back and returning to something akin to freedom. But this is not the end of it. There will be more cards to play, more excuses created to advance an agenda that entails the total subjugation of the global population under an AI-controlled, AI-dictated, smart global state. And it's not just about COVID or the alleged COVID. It is also about changes to the economy, changes to the way we live that are planned to push on towards this global Orwellian dictatorship. But we have now seen something wonderful happen around the world. Yes, the last 2 years have been terrible, and for many have been shocking. They never thought this could ever happen. But at the same time, something very, very amazing has also happened. Out of the shadows has come this cult in its various gopher forms, like Gates and Schwab and all the rest of them. And it has also awakened to the truth about what is happening in our world. It has awakened enormous numbers of people and gathering numbers of people all over the world. They have seen that what they thought was the human society as it appeared to be is nothing like that at all. They've realized that actually this world is run from the shadows, not the podium and the parliaments of the world. And it has awakened people in so many and various ways to see that they themselves are far more than they thought themselves to be. They're not just their name and their job, their income bracket and their background and their life story. They are something greater than that. They are a spirit, an eternal spirit, a spirit that people who have joined this movement around the world have shown is unbreakable, and it must be because of all that is going to be thrown at us as these months unfold. It's awakened people to see what has been going on around them all these decades, indeed all these centuries, where human society has been manipulated by a tiny few, which the target population was not even aware of. Now, great numbers of people are aware. They're aware of some of who those people are. They're aware of the techniques of manipulation. They are aware of where this world is being taken if we don't head it off. And what has happened is that this spirit has brought together people all across the world. People in Australia and New Zealand and America, Canada, Europe, Britain, Northern Ireland. It's brought people together as one human family who are pledged, determined to secure freedom not only for themselves, but ongoing for their children and their grandchildren. They are of like mind, they are of like heart, they are of like spirit. And that has been the glorious benefit of these horrific 2 years. So I give you my best wishes from England today, and let's kick on from here, because there are many challenges to meet, many we don't even know about yet, but we have started and we are coming together like never before. As Churchill once said, this is not the end, this is not even the beginning of the end, but it maybe is the end of the beginning. We've now started to see how this world is controlled and to what end. And we have started to come together to stop that happening. It's a terrible time that we have been facing, but this wonderful, wonderful, positive expression has come out of it. One human family, one heart, one goal: freedom.
This right here is who we're fighting for, and this is why we're here in the wind and the rain. Right guys, now I don't usually speak publicly. I'm usually the person that's being really, really bossy in the background, organising these rallies, and I've never thought that I had anything that was that important to say that people needed to hear. But I think there's a really important message to deliver today. And a few of you have come up to me and said, you don't see as many numbers as you've seen before. And what we're seeing now is a little bit of complacency. Because the government have relaxed the rules a little bit, we're seeing people think that we've won. But this is so far from over. So don't be disheartened when you see less numbers. We see less numbers when it's cold. We see big numbers in the summer when the sun's shining. But like I say, this is not over. And as David said, we will keep fighting, and I know that we will win this war. We have won a few battles along the way. On Saturday in London and across the UK, we had the worldwide demonstration. That took place in over 160 cities all across the world. And this amazing family that we've got now, all united, all for one cause. And we see people coming, jabbed, unjabbed, no matter what your race, religion, belief, we stand together. I'm so cold. Thank you. God, you put me off. This is why I don't speak publicly. I left my speech on the damn plane. Alright, and the only reason that happened is because when I was coming into Belfast, we had 2 aborted landings, and I got diverted to Belfast International. And I thought I was going to die. So anyway, guys, listen. People have tried to say to me that protesting, rallying, marching doesn't work. Of course it bloody works. Look at you all. We've managed to send a message to the government about NHS mandates, that they've tried to mandate for NHS staff, and we're not going to let that happen, and that is now under review because of the message that we sent on Saturday all across the UK. But what we want is the 60,000 unemployed healthcare workers that refuse the poison jab to be reinstated. And we stand with them, and we will keep fighting, because this is not over. This isn't just about our freedoms, this is about democracy, about our human rights, and they are continuing to try to take those away from us. So whilst we know they've eased the restrictions, they've lifted some of the mandates, you don't have to wear masks anymore, that's all fantastic. But it's all a game, and we can never ever trust our government to make the right decisions for the people. So the people are going to run this world, the people are going to stick together, and the people will fight for freedom and for our children. Now, some people have questioned me because I travel all the time, and I know I'm probably going to get arrested when I go back to the UK, probably for the 55th time. But right now I'm in quarantine, just with a few of people in my bubble. I was in Brussels on Sunday. I did the rally in London on Saturday, finished at 6 p.m, drove to Brussels and joined 400,000 people or more in Brussels. They came from all over Europe to come together and take it to what we call the snake's head and the root of the evil. And we did send a message, but we got shut down with tear gas, water cannons,
which is sewage water, by the way, which I didn't know until it got sprayed in my face. But we keep going. And I wanted to send another message, and I'm going to do something now, and you all have to join in, and it's called the European Hacker. So I want everybody to put their hands in the air. Give me 2 seconds. Everyone put their hands up. Hands in the air, guys. Where's Willie? You're amazing, guys. Got my hands hurt now. Okay, so we've got another important message for you guys, especially for you, from Dr. Rainer Fuellmich. Now, Dr. Rainer Fuellmich has tried to work with the system, but he knows the system does not work for us. And we cannot trust our courts, and we cannot trust our politicians. But soon, I hope to be able to trust our police. You will be with us. You will take those masks off. So Dr. Rainer Fuellmich now has set up a people's court, and he will be taking forward sessions, legal sessions that will be publicly streamed on social media so you can all see, with hundreds of judges and experts and solicitors. So I'm going to play a message for him now so he can update you, because he knows the people will create the world that we want to live in.
My friends in Ireland, this is Friday, the 28th of January. It's 4:30, and my friend Viviane and I just finished today's session of the Berlin Corona Investigative Committee. But I promised to tape a short video so that I can address you in Ireland for, I believe, Saturday's rallies. So here's what I have to say. This is basically what I said in a press conference this past weekend in Brussels, but still, most people don't know it. They say it is always darkest before dawn. This means, of course, that things will get better, that we will get rid of the mask mandate, social distancing, and most importantly, the useless and very, very dangerous shots. But this will not happen if we stand at the sidelines and wait for someone to turn on the light, or the cavalry to come riding in and save us. This time, we are the cavalry, and this time we have to turn on the light. I'm saying this not because I had a dream, but I'm saying this because this is what more than 150 expert scientists and others from all over the world have told us in our Berlin Corona Investigative Committee over the course of more than a year and a half. These people include Dr. Mike Yeadon, formerly of Pfizer, Dr. Robert Malone, who invented the mRNA vaccines, Professor Luc Montagnier, Nobel Prize winner from France, but also Professor Alexandra Orion-Court and Vera Sharaf, whom we have heard in Brussels, and now even politicians, members of the European Parliament. These people are my and Viviana's guidestones. I'll say to hell with the Georgia guidestones. My guidestone is Vera Sharaf. The most important thing we, all of us, can do is to bring out the truth, bring out all those facts that make up the pieces of a pretty scary puzzle so that we can see the whole pretty scary picture. Because only if we know what's really going on, no matter how scary it is, will we be able to make the right choices. Well, if this is a puzzle of 1,000 pieces, we can now see about 900 pieces already in place. It lets us see enough of the picture to know, one, we cannot trust our governments and our politicians because they're not our governments and our politicians anymore, but rather have been served us courtesy of the Davos clique, mostly through its Young Global Leaders program. Two, we cannot trust the mainstream media anymore because they are owned by the Davos clique. And therefore, we cannot trust anything these two governments and mainstream media are telling us about this so-called pandemic, which is really a plandemic in the sense that they, the Davos clique, or Mr. Global, as Catherine Austin Fitts calls them, have been playing to roll their agenda out for many years. The panic mongering was designed by psychologists and psychiatrists, and the means through which they convey their panic propaganda to us is through those politicians and those mainstream media. However, we can now see through all of this. We know that the PCR tests on which all the measures are based cannot tell us anything about infections and that there are no asymptomatic infections. And we know that this virus, no matter if it's natural or part or wholly man-made, is no more dangerous than the common flu. What is dangerous, of course, extremely dangerous, are the shots, which they call vaccinations. These crimes against humanity must be stopped, and they will be stopped. The only one who can do this, however, is us, the people. Yes, we, the lawyers, will do our best to help. We have an international group of lawyers that will start an international judicial proceeding very soon, probably at the end of next week. And there will be a real judge, real lawyers, real expert witnesses, and real witnesses who will testify to the damage they suffered because of the measures, in particular because of the shots. I am confident that through this proceeding, we will get indictments against the defendants whom we consider dangerous war criminals. But it is much more important, and that's the thrust of that proceeding, much more important to get out the whole truth of what is happening to the people of the world so that they can see the whole or almost the whole picture. Because it is we, the people, who will have to stop this. And we, the people, will have to disconnect from this totally corrupt and criminal system and create our own system of healthcare, economics, education, and of course, also a whole new judiciary. This is happening already in our communities and in our regions, the only place where we can tailor-make this new society so that it fits us perfectly well. And of course, we must get rid of the globalist structures through which the Davos clique, Mr. Global, is desperately trying to gain complete control over us. It is happening already in our communities and in our regions. This, I believe, is the only way to get out and get up. See and understand what is really going on and take action based upon what we can see. Turn away from the criminal Davos clique and its puppets and create something brand new. We will get help, and I believe it'll be very powerful help. But we have to get moving. Our criminal proceeding will bring out the truth and will hopefully be a motivator for all of us in our communities and in our regions to disconnect from the global criminals and their system and create something much better and finally much more humane. There will be lots of cleanup work to do, and we as lawyers will be happy to do that. But the turnaround can only be achieved by all of us. But it can't be done, but it can be done, and of course it will be done. And I'm confident that our criminal judicial proceeding will be a powerful catalyzer. Have fun and do the right thing.
Okay, guys, I just want to, before I get off the stage and stop talking, thank the organisers of today and the team. So Charlene, Alana, Sean, and anyone else is involved. I'm sorry, I'm really shit with names. But like I say, this is what we're doing. This is why we're here. This is why I'm here. I do what I do for my family, for my sisters. I don't have children, so I can fight for yours. And I'm willing to risk everything, and that's why I fight this fight. Thank you, Belfast.
Thanks to Fiona there, guys. Going forward, we've been here every 2 weeks for the past while there. A lot of people from their false sense of security, so it'll be the 26th of February before we go back here. That's 4 weeks. But there is plenty going on around the country. We're trying to get different... Jake will come up and talk that away. He's trying to unite the towns, get something going in every town around the country in between. So we come here every 4 weeks just to keep it going. But for now, I'm going to get Darren on from ARN. He's going to do a wee bit of talking what he's doing.
I'm going to start with a quote, and then I'm going to finish with a quote. You assist an evil system most effectively by obeying its orders and decree. An evil system never deserves such allegiance. Allegiance to it means partaking of that evil. A good person will resist an evil system with his or her whole soul. Gandhi. I'd like to thank all those who have contacted ARN over the past few months. It's been extremely busy, as you can understand, with what's going on at the minute and the amount of messages that we're getting. So if I haven't got back to you, we apologise. Now, as you're aware, we've put out some legal toolkits, and it's not really about the toolkits today, but for those who aren't aware, we have toolkits, legal toolkits if you're being forced to take the job to work, or, well, no things have been settled at the minute. We have toolkits for those businesses, hospitality, and way around the passports, but that's all on our website and our Facebook page. Okay, so just to really start, I want to give you some information. There is a point to these statistics as my speech goes on, so please bear with us. Since the vaccination programme, we have seen rises in heart issues such as myocarditis and pericarditis. Over 200 peer-reviewed papers on myocarditis linked to the jobs. Why aren't our politicians interested in this? Miscarriages increased by 300% over the 5-year average. Cancer over 300% over the 5-year average. Neurological issues up over 1,000%. Some countries seeing over 360% increase in baby and toddler problems around speech delay due to mask wearing. Babies start learning speech by reading lips at around 8 months. As of January 2022, the UK has seen 2,591 children significantly damaged by the experimental medical treatment. Significant enough that the medical professional or parent felt the need to fill in a report for the regulator. Now I just want to give you a brief insight into the type of messages and phone calls and emails that us ourselves at the Advocacy Rights Network have been dealing with over the past few months. Okay, so we get messages from those who are on job, who are moved into offices on their own. Those who can't wear masks, losing their jobs, or not getting any more work due to 0-hour contracts. Children being moved to the back of classrooms because they can't wear a mask. Seriously? People are being stopped from going into doctor's surgeries due to mask exception. Little do people know, and I repeat this, and I know somebody's already approached me today because it worked. See if you're refused treatment in your doctor's surgery, Quote them this on the General Medical Council section 58 and 59. They cannot refuse you treatment. So bear with that and use that if you need it. It's all on our website. I've also had someone else contact us to say that they were refused into a very famous burger chain. Why? Because they didn't wear a mask. The problem was that they needed to wear, they couldn't wear a mask because their child needed to see their parents' lips. They had some disabilities. Do you know what this famous burger chain said to them? Just don't bring your child the next time. This is the world we're moving into. McDonald's. We also have the problem. Teachers in school, has been brought to my attention, are pressurising children behind their parents' backs into taking experimental treatments. Treating kids as if they're disease-ridden vermin and that could kill their granny should they give them a hug. Children are sitting freezing in school classrooms and teachers are telling them that they can't put on a coat. Sorry, I'm angry. Isolation. Children have been put into isolation, forced to take useless tests that mean absolutely nothing, and then forced to sit in their room for 7 to 10 days. Guys, we've got to demand an end to all of this. Here's what else that's covered in the past few months. MLAs do nothing except the likes of Paul Few. I have met many MPs and MLAs and they couldn't care less except about getting your vote. They love their photo opportunities and virtue signaling to portray an image that they care and worthy of your vote. But try getting them to actually put their heads above the parapet, forget it. They simply fall back in line and they won't rock the boat. Time for a new way of politics. They all promise change, but change never happens. This is how it works in my view. If you own all the football teams in a Premiership, you don't care who wins the league and lifts the trophy, do you? Our politicians need to remember this. They are public servants. We pay their wages to represent us. We are their employers. If they don't represent the people, we the people, they should be sacked with immediate effect. So, over the past period of time, there's been a number of meetings and attempted contacts made. Equality Commission. Children's Commissioner. So let me follow through on a few of these things. Kula, the Children's Commissioner, hasn't even bothered to reply to my email at the start of the week, which was marked urgent. We have been told of the depression that children are suffering in our schools and society today. Do you know what Kula's response was? Silence. And this is people who are supposed to stand up for our children. Nobody's we had a meeting with the Equality Commission as well. Charlene actually took that meeting on behalf of ARN along with Liberty and I. Here was the feedback from the meeting from the Equality Commission. Nobody's getting support by the Equality Commission. Okay, so, hold on, just get back a little bit here, please. The Equality Commission are not living up to the ethos. They are not on the side of the people at all. When presented by Charlene with evidence of the harms of mask wearing and no evidence of any benefit, they turn to personal stories and their own worries. I don't feel idiots is the right term for those flouting exemptions either. They often use the word equality, but their words and aims do not reflect that message. As a government-funded organisation, they are clearly following the government rules, regardless of how it affects people. Also, we deal with a lot of calls coming in from hospitals. That's another story in itself. And that's a different topic. Some speakers have already covered that previously. What's going on is corruption, and it needs investigated at the highest level. Almost done. We all have a duty to act. It is our duty to protect those around us. Nobody is above the law. We are all created equal, and anyone claiming they are above the law is breaking the law. Everyone has a duty to act to prevent harm to the police and the executive. It is our duty to stand here today to alert people to the harm and for us to do something about it. The fundamental principle of the law is first do no harm. We have a constitutional, moral and ethical duty to act to prevent harm. If we know harm is taking place and do nothing about it, if you're either complicit or aiding and abetting it. Article 6 of the Human Declaration of Human Rights 1948 states, everyone has a right of recognition everywhere as a person before the law. This doesn't state race, sex or religion. It states a person, and equally your medical status shouldn't matter, or your right to informed consent. Article 7 states everyone is equal under the law and everyone has a right without discrimination to equal protection under that law. All are entitled to equal protection of discrimination in violation of this declaration, and any incitement to discrimination. So I can call upon those within the media, politics to remember this. Stephen Nolan, William Crawley, Colin Eastwood, Nicola Mallon, Robin Swan. Now the government are amending the Human Rights Act, which I don't have time to go into today. They've already attempted to interfere with the police and crime bill in England, which would have resulted in more police powers of your right to protest. But the House of Lords pushed back, and some of that we are seeing some of that. We're on a slippery slope, and we need to act. Don't wait for someone else. It is your duty to stop this. Laws should be taught in schools, but it isn't. The government have trampled all over our rights, knowing that the vast majority don't know their rights. This is why ARN have provided you with legal toolkits on the planned passport systems and jobs for jobs. We will continue to offer an alternative way of looking at the passport system and offer the hospitality sector the toolkits to avoid discrimination policy at the door should they choose to take it, as we know they will once again be rolled out. Their business will be destroyed on purpose, in my view. We now need to educate ourselves and learn the law. ARN will provide you with this information to act for yourselves. Robin Swan wants to extend the emergency powers in the Coronavirus Act until September, knowing right well the devastating effects that this will have. What do we say to Robin Swan? I have showed you the system that has. I have showed you what the system has done, how they have tricked you, knowing most of you have no understanding of the law, and how the system works on behalf of a few within government corporations. Now is the time to take our power back, educate ourselves and build a new system for the people and by the people. Our politicians do not advocate on our behalf except for a small few. Equality Commission have turned their backs, the Children's Commissioner doesn't seem to care, and the police constables who are supposed to act on our behalf and separate from the state have become a force imposing what the government wants. The last 2 years have turned everything on its head, and I ask you today, are you going to let this be the case? Are you going to stand up for your children and advocate on their behalf? So I'll finish with this quote. So as Einstein says, no problem can be solved from the same consciousness that created it. That means in whatever situation we are facing, we need to rise up to a new consciousness, a new way of thinking. So sometimes we need to take on a different consciousness. Guys, time for change. Thanks very much.
Yeah, next with Jonathan from All the Risks. Stand back our daydream.
Hello everybody, how's everyone doing? Alright, my name is Jonathan Weissman. I want to say this. As a follower of Jesus Christ, when we look at the human body, it is too wonderful, too complex, and too incredibly designed to ever again be managed by a one-size-fits-all approach from the government. It's got to stop. This flawed thinking, this failed experiment, this dehumanizing approach, we are much more than data points on the latest weekly vaccine surveillance report of the UK Health Security Agency. We're more than that. So let's talk very briefly about their flawed thinking and their short-term metrics for success. The UK government love to boast about anti-spike antibodies to the spike protein. You look at their charts, it shows 98% of the population has antibodies. But the bad news is, it no longer neutralizes the dominant Omicron variant. So why is the government still obsessed with the plan from 2020? They need to think again. But here's 4 other studies from the blood. These are real studies that I'm going to quote now that the government should be talking about instead. Number 1, from their own UK Health Security Agency reports. There's another structural protein from COVID-19. It's the one called nucleocapsid that most unvaccinated antibodies target, nucleocapsid. The number of people who have antibodies to it is only 24%. And you look at the graph and it will not budge, that number. This is because the vaccines train people only against the spike protein. So every time they're re-exposed, they're recalling the spike protein, and it's overwhelming new memory that can be formed. This is the problem known as original antigenic sins. The government's own data proves it. 2, the spike protein itself. There was a study in the Journal of Immunology by Bansal, November last year, transmission electron microscopy, that proves for 4 months following the Pfizer injection, the spike protein circulates on exosomes. I mentioned it before, I'm mentioning it again, because that study deserves an inquiry in Parliament now. That's exactly what we said was going on. That can explain the thrombosis, that can explain everything. 3, interferon expression. When has the government ever told you about interferons? All they ever explain is antibodies. Well, let me tell you, interferons are a very important part of your innate immune system, which are cytokines, and they can stop viral replication. There was a study last year by Ivanova looking at the difference between an unvaccinated person with COVID and a vaccinated person. When they looked at the dendritic cells in the blood, what they found is unvaccinated people expressed lots and lots and lots of protective interferons. Vaccinated did not produce it. A profound immunological change. And 4, very interesting one. Response to viral RNA. There was another study last year by Fosse. What they did is they took the blood from vaccinated people who had Pfizer and unvaccinated, and they compared it. What they did is they looked at something called toll-like receptors, TLR7 and 8. What these do is alert the body to viral RNA, i.e. RNA viruses. What they found is in the vaccinated blood, there was a less strong inflammatory response when recognizing viral RNA. Now think about how this technology works. Pfizer pulled every trick in the book to get humans to take in foreign synthetic RNA. People say to me, it's not a vaccine. No, it's not a vaccine. But secondly, it's not RNA. Go to all the documents, it's not mRNA, it's mod RNA. This is nucleoside modified RNA. They subbed out the uridine, they stuck in 1-methyl pseudo-uridine. It's called codon optimized, GC rich. They even inserted parts of human globulin protein into the untranslated region. Bottom line, it's not nice, healthy RNA, it's synthetic RNA, and it looks like the body is less able to alert to RNA following vaccination. 4 studies, all deserving an inquiry in Parliament, in my opinion. What we've discussed briefly are some of the risks. At alltherisks.com, I try to describe as many as possible. This is what I say. Where there is risk, there must be choice. Where there is danger, there must be a way of escape, the right to say no. Where there is crime, justice must and will prevail. So, as everyone said, we are not complacent, not for 1 second. We have to keep speaking out, keep putting the pressure on until the government start acknowledging all the risks and shut the programme down as it currently stands and get the inquiry. Keep on trucking, keep on trucking.
What would you like? Listen to that man all day. He's going to share a few words with us.
I'm going to grab this because I like to face everyone. That was amazing. Thank you very much, Andrew, for the bombshell information that should have struck us all to our core. What he's just told us is absolutely factual, and it should really, bring you to some sort of realization. I would like to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for being here today. If you think for 1 second that your appearance here doesn't make a difference, you're completely wrong. Zagreb, Lisbon, London, Liverpool, Croatia, everywhere, all over the world this is happening, and now Belfast. So thank you very much, guys. I really do appreciate it. There's stages to this awakening. There's stages to it all. Okay, I've been down the rabbit hole for about 10 years now, so please forgive me if I come across in any way sanctimonious or vitriolic. It's not. I'm not. I'm a very humble, loving person, but I know what I'm talking about. And I've been doing this a very long time, and it's a painful road. Okay, I wish I didn't have to be here. Things are going well in my life. I'm here because of the rubbish that's going on, the lies, and it's perpetuated to such a level that we're here now, where they actually are trying to convince us that it's a conspiracy theory to believe that your own immune system is able to do the job that it was created to do. I ask you, Belfast, what actually is the difference between the truth and a conspiracy theory? It's about 6 months, and it's actually less on some of these issues, okay? I get really annoyed. Do you know, as of the 1st of January 2020, the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Programme had paid out $4,393,000,000 over $500,000. Nearly $5 billion in vaccine injury. And people ask these poor parents, when they claim, and they know rightly, that their autism was given to them through the vaccine to their child. Mother's intuition should never be joked about. They always ask them, where's their medical degree? They don't know what they're talking about. But I've got a really valid question. Where the hell's Bill Gates' medical degree? Where is it? Because do you know what? He literally sculpts global vaccine policy, and he's got no medical degree. Have you seen the crimes that he's committed, that he's accused of? In India? Probably not. In India and in Africa, he's accused of not just sterilising tens of thousands of young girls, but he's actually caused the death of lots of them. He was administering polio drops out there by himself. That's illegal. Unless you've got a medical degree, you can't do that. These billionaires never ever seem to get held to task, never held accountable, and certainly never arrested. Let's talk about if the vaccines are safe. Well, we know they're not safe. FIFA, football's world governing body, just released their stats. For the last 20 years, on average, they've had 4.8 major heart attacks. For 20 years on average, about 5 a year. Over 120 this year. The Aviation Authority, loads of their pilots are dropping dead, about 5 or 6 on average a year. Over 125 already. What happens if Tesco or Sainsbury's has a dodgy lot of peanut butter or dodgy lettuces? There's a nationwide recall immediately. That's if it injures anyone. This is killing loads of people. And we have to actually think about where these organisations and institutions come from. Like the UN, they're not actually democratically selected. They were set up by the bankers a long, long time ago. We think that our government and all these leaders are reading from, they're learning as they go and they're trusting the scientists, but they're not really at all doing that. They're not at all doing that. How can it be, Belfast, that overnight, at the same time, hundreds of different leaders, hundreds of different corporate outlets, corporate subsidiaries, all come out with the same rhetoric at the same time? Build Back Better, the Great Reset. That is not possible for that to organically be derived unless it's coming from a centralised entity. And who is this centralised entity? It's the mega elite, it's the global elite, it's these 1%, as naive as it sounds. I don't care, it's the 1%. These mega wealthy men bought over our governments a long, long time ago. The corporate interests that they have, sculpt policy. Then on top of that, you've got legal lobbying, which is bribery. So they bribe the politicians to write legislative laws that benefit them, and this is what we've got to this state. If you look at the UN themselves, they've already called for a massive population reduction. So have a lot of these guys. If you look at Gates himself, Bill Gates' father was a eugenicist. He was firmly into depopulation, and he ran what then became Planned Parenthood. To think that these guys care about us is just a falsity. So we have to awaken to these dark truths. It's not nice, no one wants to be hearing about, oh God, they're trying to depopulate or they're trying to kill people. But you have to see it from a broader picture. You have to see that these wars are even fake. Millions of people are dying from all these different, events and all these different things that are happening, but it's not organic. It's not organic, it's all a construct. And until you really awaken and we see that our lives were basically played on the hamster wheel, all of us received an indoctrination more than an education, and the only true education is a self-education. And none but ourselves can free our own minds. It's like this mental slavery that we're in. We're all in like mass psychosis. Have we all got collective amnesia here? They exclusively lie. They don't just lie about this or that, they exclusively lie. It's called the manufacture of consent. They're sculpting your mind so that you're in a specific way, so you're coercible. And fear is the ultimate way in which they do that. They lie to you about A, B, C, D, and then, we think we'll throw these current puppet politicians under the bus, then it'll be fixed. It'll never be fixed. It's systemic corruption. I've been calling for a global revolution for about 6 years. Suddenly I don't sound like such a madman, which I'm pleased about. But at the same time, you cannot trust anything coming from mainstream media. The narrative has been laid out. It's a system of complete, persecution against us all. You're on the bottom rung. It's a pyramid scheme. All the control and domination comes down the way. There's never any arrests. It's all siphoning all your tax money all the way up to the top, more and more and more each year. You're never going to get free. We're not all slaves now from work. It's all debt slavery. So there's a new system in place. It's like a silent totalitarian tiptoe, but we're not going to take it anymore. I think the evidence is out there. The media is the virus. We know that they've lied about everything, and we're not going to take it anymore. Some of us actually knew that this pandemic was coming even before it rolled out. The Rockefeller Institution had talked about it. We just need the right major crisis for the world to accept our one world government. This totalitarian tiptoe, we're not going to take it anymore, because the writing's been on the wall and we want our freedoms back. Don't forget, we're literally hanging on a ball of rock, spinning in the vastness of space. Take your eyes back, stare at the stars sometime, and you'll realise no one has the right to take away these inalienable rights. They're not given to you from your government. All their money comes from us, and they work for us. Never forget that. Thanks for listening.
We've got Joyce here coming as well. It's going to give us a few words also.
Hi everybody. First of all, I just wanted to thank you all very much. I was at the last rally and I wasn't prepared to speak, and I come up, you all made me feel so very, very welcome. But I was standing at the bottom of the steps and somebody mentioned the yellow card, and I just received information from the government saying they don't know anyone who's reported, etc. So the next thing I knew, I was up those stairs shaking like a jellyfish saying, we have to report these yellow cards. So I've come back this time, but I've actually written down a few things so it's not random anymore. Okay, so I mentioned I've been recording the COVID-19 stats since they began in March 2020, which I find fascinating, and I wish to share a few of these today. But before I do, I just wanted to add a personal comment on the rally. I'm sure we've all heard people say, what's the point of these rallies? They don't make any difference. Nothing changes. My reply is always the same. What is the one thing the government does not want us to do? Meet in person, talk to each other, share our thoughts on what is happening to our lives today, and that's what we're all doing here today. Proud of all of you, every single one, and I'm proud of everybody at home who can't be here through work or whatever. Proud of everyone for standing up today, and I'm proud to stand with you. So as I say, that's exactly what the rallies do. They bring us all together, both the vaxxed and the unvaxxed, standing side by side, and so many like-minded people at work or at home who cannot join us, but wish they were here. Today we have families here, we've got friends standing together, people who come on their own as a stranger and leave as a friend, and that's what these rallies are all about. So to those who ask what do these rallies do, they bring the people together so they no longer feel alone. You're all making a difference here today.
So I wasn't going to do this, but anyway, what I would love you to do is to turn to the person beside you, shake their hand, and then I want you all to give each other a great big round of applause, because I'm proud of everyone standing here today. Well done. You're a wonderful crowd, you really are. It's lovely standing up here. I was scared, and now I'm sort of thinking, you know what, it's like being with a family. It's lovely. Thank you. So anyway, the last one I was talking about was your MLA email day. Did everyone email their MLAs? Yeah, good, okay. So, I just want to say, since the last meeting, the Northern Ireland Executive have announced quite a number of changes. So you have to ask, has the rally had an impact on your decisions? I think so, yes. So one of the largest turnouts for our rally was when Robin Swan proposed COVID certificates, or vaccine passports. My goodness, did Northern Ireland turn out to show that their disapproval. And look what happened, they've now mainly been withdrawn. So well done, everyone. I think we make a difference. So let's look at the number of changes that have happened since we last met at the Belfast rally. So number one, the requirement to provide proof of exemption will be removed and the reasonable excuse of severe distress will be reintroduced. Well done, everybody. Now we know nightclubs will reopen and dancing can resume. Did you ever stop? And then also the COVID certificates, the legal requirement to enter bars, restaurants and cinemas, etc. have now been removed. So well done, everybody. That's in 2 weeks. So we need to keep our rallies going because on the 10th of February, the Executive will be meeting to extend the Coronavirus Act and to review all remaining COVID measures. So the remaining legal requirements in relation to COVID certificates and also the legal requirement to wear face coverings and the associated duty on businesses to take reasonable measures to ensure compliance. So we need to use our email and MLA day, or your Executive, to encourage the Executive to remove all laws relating to the use of the COVID certificates and mandatory masks and to end the extension of the Coronavirus Act. I will go into my stats in a minute, but I just want to quote this one because 99% of the people in Northern Ireland have lived through this pandemic. So are we a country in crisis or are we a country in recovery? Write to your government and ask them. So on a serious and concerning note, while many may be distracted by the positive news of the removal of restrictions, the vaccination of children 5 to 11-year-olds have begun in Northern Ireland. There is a major concern to many a parent or a guardian, and it's up to the parents now to decide. The government will supply the COVID vaccine and even provide a nurse to the school to give the vaccine. All they need is your signature, your consent. So if the child has an adverse reaction now or in the future, it is your responsibility, as it was your choice, your consent, your signature to vaccinate that child. So let's look at the COVID stats for the children. Since the pandemic began in March 2020 to today, January 22, there's been 2 recorded deaths under 19 years old. That's it. And as stated on our government website, a COVID death is any death within 28 days of a positive COVID-19 test, whether or not COVID was the cause. So 2 deaths under 19 years old. And then do you recall the days in September last year when Matt Hancock hurtfully announced to the children, "Don't kill your granny"? How cruel was that? Never mind poor Granda. No, it went for the motherly figure and the family "don't kill granny." So if the children were at high risk virus spreaders, why were they not the first to get the vaccine? Because they were not even part of their trials. So was that because Pfizer needed to make a special child vaccine? No, the children are to receive 1/3 of the part of the original vaccine. So they get the exact same vaccine as you, just a smaller dose. On March 2021, Pfizer began vaccines, this is horrible, for 6 months to 11-year-olds. Now, it's not even a year later, so that's March 2021, we're not even a year later, and they're now starting to give the vaccine to the children 5 to 11. So let's take a look at the Northern Ireland coronavirus figures as we stand today. There's been 1.9 million people in Northern Ireland. We've had 3,100 COVID deaths, and that is sad, but that means 99% of us have lived through it. But we know from the Freedom of Information Act that that number is much lower for the COVID-only deaths, and I quote, Of the 3,950 deaths, that's in this one, it's different from the government ones anyway, 3,550 deaths mentioned COVID on their death certificate. 3,714 had at least one other health condition on their death certificate. So that's 94% of the people who have died have had something else other than COVID. 236 of the 3,900 deaths mentioned COVID-19 on the death certificate had COVID only, with or without pneumonia, mentioned on the death certificate. So 6% of all reported COVID deaths are COVID only. So I wrote down, just to break it down for you, there's 3,100 deaths, but so under 20 we've had 2. This is since this pandemic began, 2. Under 40, 17 deaths. Under 60, 192. Under 80, 1,115, and 80 plus 1,773. So and the majority of those, sorry, I'm cold up here, and the majority of those have died in hospital. So of the 3,100 deaths, 2,583 were in hospital, not care homes. In care homes it was 464. So the majority of deaths were COVID, when the COVID vaccine began. In December, the vaccine began on the 8th of December, there was 1,073 deaths. Today we've got 3,100. So you need to ask, does the vaccine work to prevent COVID-19? I don't think so. So then we had Robin Swan. Save the NHS, he was shouting from his TV screens. So let's look at the National Health Hospital stats today. Over 27 hospitals. At the moment there's 3,374 inpatients. 325 of those are COVID. 90% of patients in hospital today do not have COVID. So save the NHS, hasn't that been the cry for so many years? We've all heard that before. So then I'm looking back to when this virus all began, and I'm going to quote from Chris Whitty, and then I'm going to shut up. I'm going to Chris Whitty. Like he stated in March 2020, the great majority of people will not die from this virus. He was right. Significant number of people who will not get this virus at any time, at any point in this epidemic, which will go on for a long period of time. Of those who do, some will get the virus without even knowing it, asymptomatic. Those who do have symptoms, 80% will be mild. Bad enough to go to bed, but not to go to the doctor. I'm quoting this from Chris Whitty. Minority will have to go to hospital, majority will leave hospital after treatment. Sadly, a small minority will go to severe and critical care, and sadly some will die, 1% or less. Even in the highest group, if they catch the virus, the majority won't die. And he is correct, because in Northern Ireland we've had 0.62% have died with COVID in Northern Ireland. Worldwide, 98% who have COVID have recovered, 98%. And at the moment, 99.9% of current cases are mild. So, to wind up, I have a few wee things I'd like to ask you to do before I go off. So, one is, I want you all to email your executive and object to the vaccines for 5 to 11-year-olds. I want you to use your email and MLA day to object to the mandatory masks and get them stopped on the 10th of February. Send your objection to the extension of the coronavirus, because that's very important too. And then the most important thing I'd like you all to do, I want you to take a day off. Everybody have a day off. Watch a box set, meet someone for a coffee, walk along the beach or a park, phone and actually speak to somebody, to your friends. Take a day off. You don't need to pass the latest info all the time. You do need to take time out and be you again. Laugh with a friend and see how good that feels.
Hello. I work a wee bit differently to everybody else. If anybody knows me, remembers me. My name is Nicola O'Connor from DOG, DIWG, Suicide Prevention. So, Thomas, where's Thomas? So, I work a wee bit differently to everybody else. Everybody else sort of fights and argues and brings the storm out and everywhere else. I just get up and get on with it. So whenever people tell me they want something, I just get on with it and just get the job done. So I do work a wee bit differently. So I actually own Dog Suicide Prevention. We're based on 81 Springfield Road in the Blackstaff Mill. And we work with mental health, suicide and domestic violence. I done a speech here New Year's Eve, as you all know, and a few had actually come to me and told me that you were struggling within your towns, villages and communities, and that you needed some help and support. So we started bringing people up into Belfast to help and support them, and then we discovered there was some people driving for like an hour and a half, especially they were living down in Oma and that there. So we then just started to work out the a basis of what we needed. All of you, the people coming here to us, what all you wanted and what all you needed from these rallies. So what we established was that we wanted to be self-sufficient. I think it's very, very clear. As much as we love the South, and as much as some of you love the UK, you've all got to stand up and admit, when the going gets tough, the north of Belfast is on its own. It's now time for the north of Belfast to stand up as one together. It's about time that we stand up and we work ourselves out, that we do not have to depend on anybody. So even if we want to bring Brexit in, bring it on, because we're going to be self-sufficient. We're not going to depend, want or need on anyone for our mental health, for our diet, for anything that we need, for our children, for our schooling. So what I've actually done was, we've actually, through the grace of God, we've actually got a man with 40,000 acres, 40 acres of land, and we've been quite busy, so we've already set up and established that from next week, we're going to have diggers in, so we're going to start building. We're building a building for our broken. As you know, we don't have no rehab in the north of Belfast. There's really no in Belfast. So our rehab is going to start being built for our broken and our those self-medicators from next month. We also have established that they're also bringing in bottles to use for our water that's toxic, the plastics in it, and the water, they're also putting chemicals inside the water. This fella and his family have been, for years, they've took a lake and they've been producing it the old-fashioned way for clear water. So our water's already being approved and licensed to start from next month to be bottled and sold. So we will be producing our own water. We know with the people exactly what we're drinking. Also, for those for your own homes, if you want to come out to the site with containers, whatever you want, and fill your own water and take it home with you, you're more than welcome. The next thing we had then is, you know, that they've actually stopped us from seeding. They've actually cutting down on the seeds. So behind all their eyes, as you know, I've told you, this was all predicted years ago with a very group of clever people. We've already been reseeding our own seeds. So we don't need to worry about if we don't have fruit and veg coming in. We've already started growing and planting our own fruit and vegetables. Couldn't tell you before now. So, and our fruit and vegetables will not be contaminated with anything. The water they're going to be using for to water them is going to come from our pure water, from our own resources. So that's exactly, so we're going to have our own fruit, our own veg, we're going to have our own flowers. We're going to bring in our own cattle. We're going to start grazing up our own cattle so we know exactly what our own feeds are. We've already got acres of land where we're already building up and making up our own feeds for our own cattle, so we know exactly what our cattle are being fed. So we're not bringing that in either. So whenever we go to the butchery, we know exactly what we're getting and what we're eating and is on our tables. We've also got, as you know yourselves, the bugs. So bugs is the highest source of protein. So we've also got, it's been approved and a license to be growing and working with our own bugs. We've already started doing that. We've already started with our own honey. So we've also started with our own dandelion honey for those that are allergic to bees. We've also brought that into account. So anybody that's allergic to anything, we've already had people that have been in and around and done something else. With the centre of the broken, obviously the north of Belfast is a very large place, so we've up to somewhere up till and around 100 pods for those that need to with mental health outside the centre if they need to go to be worked on or 10 or whatever the kind of work that they do need on them. I'm trying to think what else we have actually been, we're going to be doing our own garden furniture, we're going to be doing our own crafts, everything that's going to be made and done by the people to generate back into our own people. As you know, people can't keep funding forever, so we want to be self-sufficient, but self-sufficient for ourselves, for our own people. So once we've got everything up and running, our main plan is to take our products to our local shops, get our local shops to put the poster up to turn around and say, when you buy these products, you do not need to fund to any mental health group whatsoever, because we want to take away the mental health system. You do not need to fund to any mental health group whatsoever, because this is now self-sufficient. And by actually banning this product, you're donating a small percentage back into there, because it's going back into the system again. We want to do away with all our big main stores, because they're the ones that's taken away. I know Asda and Sainsbury's and Tesco's might give you all special offers. Anything that anybody gives you for free, trust me here right now, it does not come free. Even those that are on benefits, the government's not giving you them for free. The government's got a plan in the long term as to why they're actually giving you those benefits. So they want to demoralise you, they want to bring you down, they want to break you. This is a plan that's been set up for years, and this is the way, with all these great people that I can only tell you about now, it's been in plan for years. A huge group of people planning and setting up and building all this for years. That's right, for years. He's looking over at me. It's been planned for years. If you remember, a good few years ago, they actually started all this here whenever our young mothers were coming out of hospital. Do not let anybody touch your babies. Do not let anybody kiss your babies. And the most important thing, they started years long before COVID. Make sure everybody hand sanitizes their hands before they touch your babies. They want to put a barrier in between human. There's only one thing that a human being cannot live without, and that is love. You can go so long without food, without water, you can starve without anything, but a human being cannot do without affection and without love. And this is what they're trying to do with our children. So it is, they're trying to cut everybody down so that they can make a barrier between us and mankind. It's very, very important that we all come together, so it is. I'm now going to give a statistic. I don't care who doesn't like it. As you know, there's a lot of research going into COVID. There's a lot of research going into COVID as to who's infecting who and what way they're infecting it. We already know it's all lies, so we do. Has anybody ever stopped, or has our government ever considered, what about those that are not vaccinated, social distancing or PPEing? Have they actually stopped to take the fact of us? Because we're all still alive, fit and well. It only seems to be the vax that's all in hospital and dying, so it is. So, it says going live, isn't it? So right now I want to give our government a plan, because if the COVID's real, within the next couple of hours you should all start dropping dead. So I want everybody to take their right hand. Everybody take their right hand. I want you to take your right hand and take the left hand of the person beside you. Take the left hand of the person beside you. That's all you've got to do. You've just got to touch that person, okay? Now I want you to tell that person how much you love them. Just quick. So, everybody's just touched each other with their germs. Everybody's just hugged and loved each other with their germs. So if COVID's real, and the statistics of COVID, you should all stop dropping dead within the next couple of hours. Nobody should be making it home. So I want the government now to take that on board and to record every single one of you that have touched your hands, okay? These are the things you need to do. You need to start doing more stuff like this and letting them see. Because remember, our government can only go with statistics. So whenever we give the statistics, that's what we can do. Because we've so many people who can help, I want to thank you all first and foremost for all the donations that everybody was given. Every single penny you give us has all went straight back into yourselves. I can guarantee that. And with that help and support of the people that was coming to us, so many people from travelling on over. So we got together, we knocked a few heads together, so we did. A few good men knocked all their heads together. And from next month, we're going to be opening up 5 new centres, okay?
I'd be opening one myself. Sorry, throws away. I'd be opening one myself around Refrain, Uri, Hilltown direction, and if anybody's down that way and wants to chip in, give us a hand, come down, just even sit and talk for an hour or two, we'll be there. So, yeah, give us a shout. And
Sean setting up in Uri, Hilltown. Thomas?
Hi, we're going to be setting up in Oma. So again, anybody wants to come and help, more than welcome. We have a very well-known youth project it's up already running. So it is down in Newcastle. That's also going to be working alongside some of our own members. So they're going to be setting up down in Newcastle. So that's Belfast, Omagh, Newry, Newcastle, Castlewellan. Don't know where Castlewellan is, and I've had that much going on. So as you know, as I was saying to you just before we go here, because I've got a round up here, I don't waste about and I don't muck up and I don't take time, so I don't, everybody else can go fight and argue, do whatever they want. I like to get straight in and do the action. When somebody tells me we want something done, it should have been done last week. If the people need it, get it done. So on everything that I've just told you, it's all been confirmed and licensed. We have diggers coming in next week to start digging up the grounds, so we do. I'm now leaving here right now to travel down to Westport to see the engineer who's going to be coming up next week to approve and set up on all the grounds. So by the end of 2022, I want us completely set up. We do not need to depend on anybody. Should it be for our mental health? Should it be for what I actually meant to say in there was, also there's a few acres that we actually have set up that's grown for our own medicines. Hemp is one of them. Now not hemp that you can smoke. Hemp as in oil, so it is purely for the oil. We have got our own land, parts of the acres that are going to be, it's already approved, set up. Every single thing that we've already approved and licensed to actually sell the products, we then can start and distribute them. So if the rest of the world want our products and want to live like us, by all means they're more than welcome to try and live like us, so they are. From here on in, we're no longer going to start coming to protest to be able to ask to be allowed to live. From here on in, we're going to set up our own empire as to how we're going to live, and if the rest of the nation want to take up and come with us, by all means, you're more than welcome to do it. Love yous all.
Good afternoon, Belfast. How are you all doing? I know this is from Northern Ireland as well. Don't forget, you are from all around. Is everybody like me freezing to death here? We'll get Fiona back up in a wee minute to do the European Icke again. That'll warm us up, alright? Folks, I'm not any personal note. I'm not a musician to bring you any music or anything like that. And I'm definitely not a doctor of a scientific mind. I'm just merely one of the people who have been standing here for the 2 years that you've all been standing here. And I want to pass a message on your behalf, if I can, to those up on the hill and those that have caused us to be here. Do you mind if I do that? This is on behalf of you and those that can't be here today. Stormont, we see you. Westminster, we see you. The Doyle, we see you. Mainstream media, we see you. Dr. Fauci, the WHO and the World Economic Forum, we see you. The scales have fallen from our eyes. The veil has drifted down from the sky, meandering firmly, finally revealing your depth of depravity. That's fear you're now feeling. We see you. Your demonic bloodlust laid bare to see. The statue of filth, that is the BBC. The prince and the madam, the crisper spy, the island of horrors in the ocean lie. We see you. Over the years, you hid them deep down to drown their tears. Perfect and innocent, God's own creations, mutilated by your sick machinations. We see you. Vlad the Impaler and his vile descendants, fleeing the palace from the 5D ascendants. The virus distracted, but gave us the time to peel back the layers of your heinous crimes. We see you. Run, run as fast as you can, back for more orders from the Phoenician clan. Out of White Rabbit, the looking glass cracked. Tipping point reached, the odds against you now stacked. We see you. Pizza and hot dogs, pasta and sauce, your sickness decoded, your lack of remorse. Our slumber is over, our eyes not wide shut. For the children of our world, a knife to your gut. We see you. Our ascension is powered by the light of the flare, scrambled like rats to the ruins of your lairs. It's over, it's over. Save our children, we cry. Revealed, reviled. It's your soul's time to die. We see you. This is why we gathered here today, and this is why we've gathered here in the most weekends in the 2 years gone by, because we see them. And there's been not just a few, there's been not just hundreds, but there's been thousands of us at times. And that's because we see you and all that they're trying to do to us. In fact, we see right through you. We see through your fear. We see your false evidence appearing real, which is fear, and we are calling it out. There are those out there who thought that by years of pigeonholing us, separating us as into our little boxes of black, white, Catholic, Protestant, rich, poor, and so on, and now vaxxed and unvaccinated. We see through your divisions. We see through your chaos that you try to create. You thought that we had been broken and divided, that by slowly trying to take away our cultures and our societies, our neighbourhoods and our families, and especially our trust in each other, we would be easy to oppress and control. But despite all this, here we stand, united, like brothers and sisters from all walks of life and all kinds of backgrounds, because we found out through this that we are not different after all. That we know who we are, what we want, and even more than we could have imagined. And that is because you don't know us, and what is inside of each and every one of us. And that is the spirit of man, the breath and the spark of the Almighty, something that you can never take away from us. And so the opposite is happening, people. We're coming together in peace and unity, with love and belief that what we do here and the message that we send is right, and what is happening to us all is wrong. And in doing so, we've opened up our hearts and our minds, and we've created in our community, and as plenty have said today, our own family, one that is open to all, one that is respectful of everyone's choices, one that is going to reject them and their system, one that is going to come together and move this country forward in the right direction for a brighter future for our children. And we need to invest in that. And we need to invest in what we have. And this is bound to happen because the people have awoken and seen the thieving and the lies and the deceit and the devaluing of our lives through this pandemic. And if something is bound to happen, then that's something that's meant to happen. Like the right people, at the right time, for the best reasons. And you all surely are. And together we can make anything happen. And even though each of you may be standing here because of a certain issue, to protect your rights, protect your children or family, or fighting for someone who is harmed or died because of this evil experiment, we're all here for the same thing, and that's to say no. And as they try to change the narrative now, all of a sudden, try to make everyone forget the past 2 years, we won't forget. We won't forget history and those who are guilty, because we remember the atrocities and we are saying no. And let me remind you, and this is just to you standing here, this is to everybody walking past, going down their daily business. The road you're on, by using a little bit of history, I'm going to remind you. Back in July 14th, 1933, Jewish immigrants were stripped of their German citizenship. September 29th, 1933, Jews can no longer own land. October 1933, Jews cannot be newspaper editors. January 1934, Jews cannot join trade unions. May 1934, Jews cannot have health insurance. July 34, Jews can no longer gain qualifications. May 1935, Jews cannot serve in the military. June 1935, women with hereditary illnesses can be forced to have an abortion. This is the road we were on. This is the road that we are on, people. Let us not forget. September 1935, the Nuremberg race laws passed. These stopped Jews from marrying anyone of German blood. January 36, Jews are not allowed to teach German children or become accountants, dentists, or anything of a science nature. They are denied tax reductions and allowances for their children. April 1938, Jews have to register all belongings with the Nazi government. July 1938, Jews cannot trade anymore. Do you get the picture? Do you know where we're going? We all know. Are you walking by your daily businesses? No. Sorry folks, bear with me. Our fundamental rights up until yesterday that were presented as inviolable, enshrined in God's law, have been trampled underfoot in the name of a fake emergency. Today a health emergency, tomorrow an ecological emergency, or a war, or emergency. And as we know now, this is where they're sliding towards with a new narrative. And speaking of war, as already has been said before, we're in the midst of one for our minds, our spirits and our souls. It's a war by the global coup d'etat, of which our assembly are puppets. It's a criminal attack against us citizens that stretches across the whole world, with very rare exceptions. Where the enemies are all of us, and those unwittingly have not yet understood the significance of what is happening. And even our children, especially our children. As a war fought not with weapons, not yet anyway, but with illegitimate rules, evil policies and cruel limitations to our natural rights, all of which amount to crimes against us and our children, crimes of those that call themselves the elite. Because we have all seen how they flout their own rules and the contempt they show us, we the people. So I stand here today to call on you all, free people of this earth, this unified family, to denounce these crimes, to break their so-called rules, as we do not accept them any longer, especially when they are made without our consent. That you stand and protect all that is precious to us, our rights, our liberty, one another, our families and our children. That you be ready to go in the new direction that we have planned for, to be the better, brighter future that we all want and deserve. And I ask of you all here today, and any who may hear or see this message, to understand the many threats that loom over us, to have no fear, but to react by organising ourselves into a firm and courageous resistance. I ask you all to be strong, believe, hold the line. Love, faith and hope will conquer all. It always has. Now she'll leave you with this message today, a message just for all you here and who have been here. Someone penned this just for you and the Truckers for Canada. To the rebels, this is for the ones that see through the deception and lies, that actively resist tyranny and live a life which is led by their own intuition and heart. They are owned by no one. To the brave women and men who courageously risk their own life and reputations and relationships to stand up for what they believe in. Although they may be courageous, they're also selfless, intuitive and conscious. You care, you love, you fight, not only for your freedom, but for everyone's freedom. To the rebels of the world, I see you. Thank you, Belfast. Thank you, Northern Ireland.
Yeah, guys, that's us with speakers, so we're going to finish with Fiona if she wants to say a few words and maybe give it another hack. This is Boston too. We can't have her coming over without another hacker. As of here, we'll be here every 4 weeks. Next week we've got the convoy. It's going from here to Dublin and back. I don't know what's on it, only got it this morning there, but I'll be posting on it later. Jake there as well, he's doing Unite the Towns, so there's a lot going on in between the 4 weeks, so yeah, let's finish on the hacker.
Yeah, I didn't really want to say anything else, but thank you, Belfast. But I wanted to finish on the hacker. If you want to do that again, yeah?
Roberts, 1-8.
Thank you for having me, Belfast. Keep fighting. Love you.
Thanks very much, guys, for coming once again. We're making hard the numbers, but that's dedication coming out today in that cold. Thanks very much, and see you in 4 weeks.